What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Everything Vive. Happy Monday. Hope you had a great holiday weekend, at least for those celebrating Thanksgiving here in the U.S. and abroad. For those who didn't, well, hope you just had a great weekend and are back to your usual routine on Mondays. My name is Zane. I'm here with Ronnie. Ronnie, how's it going, man?
It's going great. You know, Monday back from a holiday is never the most fun, but it was a good break, and you know, there's lots of cool things to talk about. So I'm in a cheery mood.
Very true. Well, I feel like with the holiday last week, news was kind of slow, so we'll see how long this episode goes for. But we do have a couple things that we want to dive into. The first is that it is Cyber Monday, so the Vive is still being offered for $100 off, and I think the best deal we saw was with the Microsoft Store. Because they're offering not only the $100 off the Vive up front, but you also get $100 in Microsoft credit, if I remember correctly. So,
very cool.
Yeah, in that sense, you'd be getting almost $200 worth of value. So grab it today if you can't. But I know most of the people who are listening probably have a Vive. Actually, I shouldn't say that because we get a lot of people who want to get a Vive and are listening. So if you guys are snoozing on this deal, this might be one of the best that you'll see for a while. But moving on, Doom 3, there was a mod created for the Vive. Did you hear about this, Ronnie?
Yeah, so I heard a little bit about it. I haven't gotten a chance to try it myself yet, but I'm really interested in checking it out. If you want to get, it sounds like they just someone's gotten Doom 3 BFG edition to work in with the Vive.
Yep. So it was developed by Codes for Fun. At least that's the alias online. So thank you, Codes for Fun, for making that. I was just reading a couple notes about it because I haven't had a chance to try it myself either. But the game is set up so you don't need much space. It does boast a solid 90 frames per second. So the tracking and gun flashlight and all the stuff that you're using are pretty great. In terms of that. I was looking and I saw that there was a Reddit user, AerowynX, who posted a guide to how to play this on your VR system or on your Vive, I should be specific. So we'll actually make sure to include that in the show notes. So anybody who's interested can look further into that. But I'll be honest, man, I actually never even played the original Doom games, but I know you did, right?
Yeah. No, I played all the old ones and Doom 3 in particular. I remember getting it came out kind of around Half-Life 2. And I remember building a new PC specifically for both of those games when they were coming out. So Doom 3 was kind of the technical powerhouse at the time. And you just wanted, especially with all the shadow work that game had going in it. And, obviously Carmack was he's the lead or one of the main programmers behind Doom and Doom 3's engine. He's well known. So, the funny thing about Doom 3, which is, and I don't want to go too much into the history of things because it would actually take quite a bit of time.
Give us the short version.
Doom 3 was the first game that John Carmack was kind of showing off with the duct tape, beta, whatever, alpha version of the Oculus hardware.
Mm-hmm.
So that's so originally he had Doom 3 running on what later became Oculus hardware. So at the time, Oculus didn't exist, and he had kind of bootstrapped Doom 3 to work on that. And then because of the fallout between id Software and Bethesda, which they're the publishers of Doom 3 and all of those games. So the fallout between them and Oculus led to Doom 3 dropping support of VR. So originally Doom 3 was actually scheduled to be one of the first titles that was going to support the Oculus and the Oculus Rift when it was going to be released. And we're talking right at the beginning of the Kickstarter, way, way long ago. And then somewhere in that midpoint when, while it was being developed and the dev kits were being sent out and everything, there were legal troubles between both sides and they dropped the support. So it's kind of ironic to see Doom 3 be supporting VR. I don't know if there's any unofficial hacks to get it to work with the Oculus already, but I don't remember seeing anything like that. So the fact that most people getting to play Doom 3 in VR for the first time is going to be on the HTC Vive, I think is kind of ironic and kind of funny. So
yeah, no, for sure. Well, it's funny how it just full circle comes around, right?
Yeah. So, but yeah.
Yeah. So, well, the most interesting thing that I read though was there was a commenter online saying that while they remember the original game, not the virtual reality one, being not goofy, but in a sense, just it wasn't like it's a completely different experience in VR, I guess, to make a long story short. And he says how he didn't care much for the original game, but after trying it out in VR, it totally, redefined just everything for him. So that is pretty exciting. And I do want to try it out at some point. So hopefully maybe mention it.
Yeah, the vibe in that game is kind of, creepy, kind of like it didn't really come off quite that way because it's kind of like a monster closet, kind of, you turn the corner and enemies, kind of demons and stuff spawn out of nowhere and come and attack you. And it was just kind of a frenetic, fast-paced kind of game. But you could tell that the developers were really trying to make it more moody and kind of creepy, and it was full of shadows, like I was mentioning before, and everything was really dark. So I could imagine that would play differently and much more scary in VR. So that's actually,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the immersiveness of it will definitely add to that
just
factor,
things jumping out at you and you not knowing where things are coming from and all that kind of that in general plays much better in VR, I think.
I mean, just looking at all of the horror experiences that have come out for the Vive and that are on Steam, I mean, it's definitely like VR gives that experience quite well.
Yep.
Or at least it seems so.
Yep, agreed.
Cool. Well, we'll have to make sure we try that out and maybe mention it on a future Game Talk when we get the chance. But moving on, we have a couple more things to get to. This one, it's a lot of rumors, but we're going to mention it anyway. I guess the HTC Vive number 2 has been fast-tracked, and this was actually confirmed by HTC spokesperson Rikard Steiber. He confirmed that it is being fast-tracked, that there will be a major hardware upgrade, a new design, and improved performance. He did not comment on whether or not the next generation would be wireless, but I think that is the direction we all see it going. I don't know. Have you heard any other news on this?
No, I haven't. Actually, yeah, when you had told me about that story, that was the first I'd heard of it. So after this, I'm probably going to go, check out some more of those articles, see what else I can dig up. But that's really interesting. I mean, especially, I guess, with all this talk of all this talk about the wireless kit and new controllers, and when you start thinking about all that stuff kind of adding up, if HTC did want to release new hardware, it sounds like there's enough changes already from what we know about that could potentially make it into a second revision. And yeah, I just think that's interesting. And I mean, it's also interesting in light of, I mean, supposedly HTC recently said something about, and this is just popping into my head now as we're talking about this article, but or this subject. But HTC had recently said something about them actually selling through quite a bit more than the 140,000 units or so that had previously been reported.
I was going to bring that up, but I'm glad you did.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is them kind of, they make that statement and now they're rushing for the second, if they're trying to, make a push for, I don't know, saying that they're kind of ahead of the curve when it comes to some of the other headsets in terms of how they've been selling, and they want to keep that momentum maybe going. I'm not really sure, but it's interesting.
That information that you mentioned earlier, I believe, came out during their quarterly meetings or quarterly announcements to shareholders.
Okay.
And so not only did they confirm that they had sold at least 140,000, but I believe they said that it was more than that. Although, of course, they're not going to give exact numbers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it could definitely be following up on that. I mean, there are also rumors about them trying to sell off their phone division because VR is actually taking off quite well. And I guess they don't want the phone or mobile side of things weighing it down. But I guess we'll just have to see how that all plays out with them.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to, keep my ears and eyes open for more articles about, because that is kind of interesting, and it does look like a lot of these articles, just kind of quickly pulling it up. It looks like they're saying maybe it says. I'm just looking at it right now, but I mean, even maybe a wireless version of the headset coming out sometime in the first
2017,
in the first quarter of 2017. So if that's the case, then man, I mean, it's not. If you think about it, it's not too far out of the realm of possibilities. I mean, think about the fact that they were selling those other kits, from China recently, and those sold out so quickly. And if they work well, there have been again, we haven't, had the opportunity to try those out. And I've heard anywhere from, as high as around 15 milliseconds of lag being introduced to as low as 2. Mm-hmm. I mean, if it was closer to that 2 millisecond range, you're really not going to even be able to tell, any kind of lag difference between wireless and wired. And maybe that's what HTC is thinking. They saw how many people jumped at those previous kits, and they thought, what? Why don't we, rather than just releasing those kits by themselves in the U.S. market and other markets, maybe we can, release a new hardware kit and kind of build up, hype and kind of a new, a new marketing, campaign around that.
Yeah, of course.
So I just hope they still release that wireless hardware in a timely manner for all of us early adopters.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm so torn about this, just because I do fall in the camp of early adopter when it comes to VR. And you just want to make sure that you spent a good amount of money to get the headset this year. If they're to come out with a truly redesigned hardware in 2017, early 2017 specifically, it's just I don't know if I want to drop that much money on a brand new thing. I can't. You never know, and anything is possible. But I mean, I don't think it would be too much of a burn to leave everyone that had purchased Vive systems already out to dry. I mean, these are all the people that were most excited about VR to begin with. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, even if the number isn't that high, you don't want, to lead new potential customers down the path of, again, thinking that they're going to be left behind at the next step, and vice, again and again and again. Exactly.
So you can't burn, 200,000 people that were early adopters and then turn around and expect people to continue to buy, hardware in the future. So I would imagine that this is going to be, if it does come out that early, I bet you it's just going to be, repackaging the Vive, maybe making it a little bit lighter or more attractive, and then making it, wireless or something like that. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we've discussed this at length in the past, so I don't want to belabor the point. We'll wait until there's more details and then, kind of see how things shake out from there.
Yep, agreed.
Cool. Okay, so we got a couple more. This first one I thought was just interesting just because of the hype that came with it. Gary the Gull, I think you and I were discussing that earlier, but it's been released. The notes behind it, or at least the reason why there's been so much coverage on it, is that is because it's created by Mark Walsh of Motional Entertainment, and he is an alumnus of Pixar. So It's great to see people from the movie industry again kind of dipping their toes in the VR pool.
Yeah, especially animation. Yeah. It makes sense because computer animation, computer graphics, everything goes hand in hand. And, it's already being modeled in 3D and everything. So it's kind of the perfect fit for virtual reality. So I'm interested to check it out.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely check it out. I mean, it's a free experience, so you kind of have no reason to. I did see some of the reviews were a little negative, and I think that's just because it was a little buggy or crashing. But I definitely
had said something about trying to to get it to run, and it was kind of giving you problems.
Yeah, just literally right before we started recording. So I saw a little bit inside. It looks fantastic, actually. I mean, if it's like being inside of a Pixar movie. So the graphics and the art are great, but I just couldn't get it to run. It kept freezing or something, and I probably just got to restart my computer. So I will.
Okay.
Yeah, once you and I get a chance to go through it, we can talk about it on a future Game Talk episode.
Yeah, like you said, if it's free, there's not a whole. It sucks when programs and games and stuff are buggy, but if it's free, you can't really complain all that much. So.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, down to our last topic, and this is one you actually brought to my attention. I'd seen it earlier, but I hadn't looked into it until you had mentioned it right before we started chatting, and that is Ubisoft announces a cross-platform play for all of its future VR titles. And so that includes Eagle Flight, Werewolves Within, and I believe the upcoming Star Trek game. But what else have you heard on this?
Yeah, that was pretty much the extent of it. It was just, I think Red Storm is Ubisoft's VR developer, and they're the VR branch, I should say, and they're the ones that are kind of they're the ones working on Star Trek, Bridge Crew, and that game.
Man, there's so many people excited for that game too.
Yeah, no, it sounds so cool. And the fact that, I mean, it is mainly focused on multiplayer. To think that, they're going to do everything that they can to bring as many people into the fold to play together as possible. And that game is really, exciting, and it's a very positive, piece of news for me, I think, because that means, you're going to be able to have, several times the amount of people trying to get in there, to join your party and whatnot. So, I mean, I just like, this is a very feel good news item. It was posted on one of the Ubisoft developers' blogs, and it just, I hope more developers take this route. I don't know exactly how difficult it is to enable cross-platform multiplayer, but at the very least, if more and more AAA developers, these big companies like Ubisoft and others that are getting into the VR space, if they're already going to be developing games for PlayStation VR and these others, why not find ways of releasing those onto the Rift and the Vive and getting everyone in matches together, because God knows we need to bring as many of the VR enthusiasts together as possible. So.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I mean, looking at the multiplayer games currently available for the Vive, if there's no user base there, it quickly crashes and burns.
Yeah, and there's only so many. I mean, it's one of those things, like, even if a game's really good, you only have so much time and energy to devote to a multiplayer game at a time.
Yeah.
So when you fracture that base by, when you're only talking about Vive owners, that pool becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. So, I mean, the Eve Valkyrie was the latest one. I haven't gotten a chance to try that yet, but I've heard people have been saying great things about that because of its cross-platform multiplayer capabilities, and that it really invigorated even people that have been playing it on the Oculus Rift since that piece of hardware came out. People that weren't able to find matches then all of a sudden are able to find tons of matches now, because there's all these new Vive owners out there playing Eve Valkyrie, and same thing with PlayStation. So that's really exciting news. And like I said, I just really hope that one this continues in terms of multiplayer experiences. More cross-platform multiplayer, the better. And then two, that this also leads developers to want to include multiple platforms into their games that they wouldn't otherwise have thought of. So, I mean, in order to make a game, cross-platform multiplayer capable, you also have to put that game out on multiple platforms. So, if this continues to do well, I think that, that's going to give developers another incentive to make sure that they're publishing their games on all of the VR platforms
and giving them that cross functionality.
Exactly. You get 2 for 1, I guess.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, that's all I have. Anything you got?
No, that's pretty much it. But even though it was kind of a slow week, some of those news items were kind of more interesting. So
For sure.
it's all good stuff. And
well, let's end on that feel good note then.
sounds good to me.
Cool. Well, for everyone listening, hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. And we are on iTunes, Stitcher. Please leave us a review. Let us know how we're doing. Connect with us. And we post these episodes as well as gameplay videos on YouTube too. So love to chat with you there. And yes, we will see you guys again on Wednesday. Take care. Have a great week.